Welcome to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself Roundtable discussion, sponsored by Kingdom Builders for Life Ministry. Um, we have some guests here. We have one guest here that's here is going to be on round table with us. So what we want to do, we want to welcome those around the table. We want to welcome Corniqua Woodall. She's the founder of I Am Me Foundation. Amen. It's a foundation that what she does, she helps young girls to find their true identity in themselves, find their true identity in Jesus Christ. And so she's doing an awesome job working with young girls. Also, we have Lucinda Avent and Messenger on a mission, and she's always on YouTube, on social media, always encouraging young ladies, everybody about Jesus Christ. And also, we have a guest here. We'll introduce himself today as well.
My name is Tanzi. I'm a student from South Africa, Cape Town, is where I was born, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Amen. I am your host, Lee Avent. I'm a certified stress coach. I'm a biblical life coach. I'm a servant of the Kingdom Builders for Life ministry. Now, our topic today is trapped in our past experience emotionally. And I've talked to each one of them to discuss the topic. So, what I want to do, I want to just shoot out on the table for discussion. What do you think about the topic? What do you think the topic mean to you? Trapped in our past experiences emotion, because there are a lot of people, as we know, that are trapped in their pain, trapped in their suffering from their past hurt. So what do you get out of that statement when it says trapped in our past experience? Anybody can talk about that.
I think it means not being in the present moment, allowing your past to have power over you in that present time and throughout your life, not being able to focus on what's in front of you at the time and being enclosed and trapped in your past.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Anyone else? Trapped in your past. Let me give you an example. And I was talking to this young lady, and she told me not to say her name. I've been talking to her lately, but I'm going to tell you a story, just a short version to my trapped in the past. At a young age, she grew up in a dysfunctional home. She grew up out with her father, and at a young age, the house was in chaos at all times. So what she did, she isolated herself in a certain part of the house, and she would go into daydreaming. And what happened that through the years, that's what she focused on was daydreaming. So anytime there's a situation come up, she go to daydreaming. And daydreaming was a place where she can be safe at. So she created her own reality, right? But as she got older, that daydreaming stuck with her. When she got in her 30s, now she can't get rid of it. Now she's struggling to get rid of daydreaming because she'd been doing it so long, it became a habit. And so now, so it's always a trigger. So when there's a chaotic situation, a trigger comes, the daydreaming starts automatically. So that's one of the things that we said trapped in the past experience. Let me say this too. And one of the things she told me is that now that when she do daydream, she see that little girl back in her past. She still see that little girl back in her past. And the little girl always say, I want to be loved. I want my father. I want to grow up. I miss all the things. So she see that. So do you think that it's in a sense, when a person is trapped in their past emotionally? What do you think about that?
Well, I think we defined the word trap first before we delve into what it is, right? So, and I won't give you a definition of it, but I'll give you what sort of traps that there might be, right? So, first of all, you got to think of yourself as traps. Usually, things that they use when they're hunting, right?
Sure.
So, like in certain parts of the country where I'm from, like some of the hunters, when they do what they do is not many of the people can afford guns and stuff, so they're not doing the professional hunting. What they would do is they would chase an animal in a certain direction, and it will keep running, and then they'll cover the floor with, say, grass, so it makes it look like it's still even grass, but there's like a pit, and it falls in there, right? So that's one kind of trap. Now, how does this relate to what we're talking about, right? So traps usually look like something normal, right? So we get used to things, right? So the daydreams, for instance, I don't know the person you're talking about,
Yeah.
but they normalized it. So when it looks normal, it's hard to get out of,
Wow.
right? Because it becomes your surrounding, right?
Right.
So we might call it an escape mechanism, but the thing is, they've done it for so long that this has become so normal, right? So and some traps are really, and when we talk about this trap, we're talking about the trap of the past,
Yes.
right? This one feels real because you've experienced it before.
Correct.
This is not like fake ground. I run on this ground before, and usually I'll talk from my experiences. Something kept me angry for a long time, and I use that also as a motivation thing. Like you talk to motivational people, they say, "Oh, that's positive." It's not. Every time it felt like I achieved something, I was still mad because the people I was trying to prove it to were still not acknowledging it. So I was still trapped, even though I tried to turn it into something positive, right? Right. So Psalm 127 says that you are free from the trap of the fowler, right? So basically, at that point, I think that traps keep you in, but also they make it look normal, right?
Wow.
So we know the children of Israel, when they're moving out of
Right.
Egypt,
Right.
they've been in slavery for 400 years,
Yeah.
and sometimes you want to go back to the trap. Like, how many people have seen women who say, he hits me, but I love him,
Right.
right? So you want to go back to that trap. The children of Israel have been
Yeah.
slaves for 400 years.
Wow.
400 years, right? So if you're slaves for 400 years, it's not just you a slave, your grandma's a slave, your grandma's grandma's a slave. 400 years is a long time, given that people live about
Wow.
80 years, right?
Right.
So this is what happened. The children of Israel, when they started to see their past coming at them, instead of wanting to run from the past, they say to Moses, take us back to Egypt,
Yeah.
for it was better if we were slaves.
Yeah.
So it's funny, right? This is the trap. Instead of running from it, we're running back to it.
Right.
Because normalcy is comfortable.
Wow.
At least I can predict it here, right? So yeah, that's my take on it.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
an excellent take on that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
excellent take.
I agree with that.
You know, I did a research, and there was some scientists did a research on the mind, the thoughts, and I'm going back, trapped in your past experience, and especially the story I told. It says that the average person has 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95 are the same thoughts you had yesterday. 85 are negative thoughts. So it leaves 10 to 15 positive thoughts a day. And so when you talk about a person who's trapped emotionally in their past, it's because they keep revisiting emotionally their past. And so the trap, like you said, the word trap means it's hard to escape from. It's because it's the thoughts that you keep thinking about the past that keep you trapped. So you're trapped in your mind emotionally. Because everything in your mind comes from your emotions come from your mind. So you're trapped in your mind. So I see that. So what do you think about that? What y'all think about that when we talk about the thoughts? How it's a thought that keeps us there. You know, because your emotions come from what you think. What do you think about it? I'm going to put that on the table. What y'all think?
What he was speaking about, that's very interesting because this guy that I knew, he had been in prison for 10 years. And when he had gotten out of prison, out to the world again, and he once said, I come better off going back to the prison, than being out here, because out here is more crazy than it is in the prison. But his mind was set there because he'd been there for so long, for 10 years. And the way I see it, that everything is a trick of the enemy. Everything is a trick of the enemy because what they're doing, they're facing the wrong mirror. It's just like the scripture, I forgot the scripture, when it said a natural man, when he walked away, he didn't remember what he was. I mean, he didn't remember his past. He didn't remember what he used to do. He didn't remember all those things that's behind him. So it's like we're looking in the wrong mirror. And when you turn your back on God, you automatically facing Satan. There's no doubt about that. So if you facing Satan, you facing lies. And since God is the truth, and you facing God, you facing the truth. So at the time that you're facing Satan, he's showing you nothing but lies, showing you things that's not real. And based on the past, God delete our past. He remind us of our past, so we won't go back into it. Or he'll remind us in our past so he can remind us what he did, how he brought us out of it. But everything that happened in our past, the pain experience and the wounding and all that, we don't remember that because God deleted that from our past, you know. And see, when he deleted that, for some reason, we still holding on to the pain, to the wound that's not even there anymore. Why are we still holding on to it? The number one thing, because of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Unforgiveness. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And another thing, you know, that we still looking in the wrong mirror. We still looking at the lies that Satan has told us or what he has showed us, you know. So I see it this. I'm a witness myself because I have been wounded in my past through all the years, and I learned to forgive. And every time I forgive, you know, God fixes that I can't remember what happened. That's just like a woman when she give birth. You know, when a woman give birth, and when she give birth at that labor, she can feel all that pain. She can feel the pain at that time. But after that, she don't remember the pain she had. She don't remember, you know, the labor pain. So that's the same thing, you know, with us. When God erased that and deleted from us, we don't remember the pain and the wounding that took place in our past, you know. So I feel that the main thing and the main reason is to deliver us from our past is to forgive, you know. Even though we're going to remember it, but we're not going to remember the experience what took place in our past.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So I'm a living witness of that. So I know, you know, how God works in the awesome way. He wants us to let go and let Him have, you know, His way and bring favor into our lives.
Okay. So you're saying that it all goes back to the way we think. Let me read this statement. Is it true or false? Because when you talk about a person who's trapped in their past experience, I'm talking about emotionally.
Right.
That means there's a person who's stuck there, you know, for a long period of time because of the way they think. So, and they don't know that. Because you say it's a normal way of thinking, it's a normal way of feeling, but here's a statement, true or false, and I want what you think about it. It says, you have to change the way you routinely think and feel each day. Otherwise, by repeatedly thinking and feeling the same way you felt the day before and the day before that, you will continue to create the same circumstance in your life, which will cause you to experience the same emotion.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like you can't use the same thinking that got you in that same place to get you out.
Right.
But as simple as that sounds, that's also a very complicated
Yes.
kind of thing
Yes.
because you talked about routine,
Right.
habit. You got to change habits.
Mhm.
It takes 45 days to form a habit psychologically, right?
Yeah.
So so that means that there's consistency that comes with it, but also if you go to anyone who's ever been to Alcoholics Anonymous, like all those things that are, I guess, addiction-based programs, what they will tell you is that routines, they did change their routine, they stopped smoking, right, for some time, but they also changed their environment, right? Because sometimes when you're trying to get out of something, you're like, I know you since when? You're not this kind of person. So sometimes the environment encourages you to be the old you. The environment is not prepared for the new you. So it takes a lot of sacrifice to move out emotionally from your past experiences, because some of the people holding the lock to the door is your environment around you.
It's true.
Right. So you've got to, and it's hard because the people around you are very close to you.
Yeah.
Because you've been with me since I was born, I feel like you know me more than you know anybody else. So I keep you around. But the truth is, you know me as I was. You don't know me as I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't know where I'm going tomorrow, but you know who I was. So if you keep reminding me of who I was, it's hard to forget.
That's true.
Right. Like, so I could have forgiven, and forgiveness is such a very, I mean, it's a very good thing that you brought up there, because another thing is, I grew up in wrong ministry. Not that it was wrong, but I think that it was misguided in the fact that we thought forgiveness, I forgive you for you. No, I forgive you for me. Right. So if you hurt me and I was forgiving you, it felt like I was doing you a favor when you already hurt me. Right. So most of the times the principles that were taught, we thought forgiveness was for the other person. So why would I forgive somebody that hurt me?
Yeah.
Why am I doing you an extra favor when you already done me one wrong? Right? I gotta get even. So by me not forgiving you, maybe that's balancing up the table. Right? So even in the Bible, the Jews had the concept in the Old Testament called Mechila. So basically, they had to determine. In the Old Testament, you just didn't talk to God. Like you had to be Moses. You know, there was the outer court, the inner court, the holy of holies. Right? Not anybody just came in there. Right?
Yeah.
You had to have middlemen. You don't just talk to God. We talk to the man of God, then the man of God talks to God, and then that's how that worked.
Yeah.
New Testament, thank God for Jesus, right?
Yeah.
He came through and he said, "There's no middleman now. This is you and him," right? But in that Old Testament way of that way of kind of the living is like most of the times, even to seek forgiveness, you had to go to a certain person,
Yeah.
talk to that person. There was a mediator,
Yeah.
and then there were also levels at which you could forgive,
Right.
right? So it was very strict. It's rule. You don't like, okay, this one, yeah, this is a forgivable one. This one, we have to do certain things to be forgiven. So there was also earning forgiveness. So that concept, I feel, is still there today because we still feel like somebody else has got to do something to earn our forgiveness. Like for me, like, yeah, he apologized, but like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel the apology was enough. He's got to do something to level up. So it's we got to learn to forgive, but also learn that forgiveness is for us.
Okay.
You know,
Also-
go ahead.
No, just not also just forgiving others, learning to forgive yourself
Wow.
for
Right.
not
Wow.
knowing, just
Yeah.
learning to
Wow.
forgive yourself,
Yeah.
and forgiving yourself, it gives you room to grow
Wow.
in different directions, because like you said, it's different levels of forgiveness, and most of all, learning to forgive yourself so that you can move forward in your past. I mean, in your path. Yeah.
No. Wow.
Well, see, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Forgive,
yeah.
because then they would ask the question, why would I forgive myself when they hurt me?
Right.
But then I realized you hurt yourself more than they
Right.
hurt you because you went all those years and based on what that person did to you, but that person lived their life to the living. To move forward, but you still behind in your past and dealing with something that what that person did to you. But see, here's the thing about it. When you're basing on one person that hurt you in your past, you don't realize there come another person that's gonna hurt you as well. And then come another hurt, then come another. So what you're doing, you add on all these pains on you, and as you grow older, and this is the wrong thing about. See, this is what happens to people when they dealing with abuses, marriage, and dealing with anger. What it is, they share that pain with others because they don't know no other way to release that pain. And sometimes they share it through drugs, they share it through alcoholic, they share it through all different ways. They feel that's the way they release their pain. They feel that their pain is gone, but at the same time, the pain is still there. But since when they get over that sobering, when they get over that feeling, they had to go right back and doing that same thing again because they're trying to get rid of that pain. So they can't get rid of it till, like we said, until you forgive that person and learn to forgive yourself. So the reason why you're forgiving yourself, because you're forgiving yourself for allowing yourself to go through that when you could have just went and let go and let God. You could have went on just trust God, and you could have went on and just say, well, I'm not going to live this life anymore. And I know this woman, I seen this woman at the interview, and I actually seen her on the interview. She went to her, she was going home, and her, I don't know if it was her husband, I think it was her husband. He came out of nowhere and put gasoline on her and set her on fire, completely on fire, and burnt her whole entire body. Most women in situations like that, they give up or they want to die, they don't want to live anymore. But she said, at the beginning, she probably was hurt because when she look in that mirror, she see that wound. She see those scars, But then afterwards, she realized her children needed her to be strong. So she had a made up mind that she's not going to let this man take her life or take her joy and stop her from moving forward. So she decided to look in the mirror and she saw a whole new different woman. She saw a beautiful woman, who needed to be loved, and who deserved a second chance, in life. So she moved forward. So if many people have that mind like that, I'm not going to allow this person take my life from me or take my joy from me. I'm going to move forward, then it would be more people that wouldn't be hurting other people or hurting themselves. That's why so many people go around blowing up buildings or killing people because of all that all the pain that added on built up. you know. And I said this, there are so many people carrying a child. They are still carrying a child in them that was in their past. They still carrying that child. And as the years go by, the child is getting heavy. Because as the child is getting heavy, the burden is getting heavy. Why the child is getting heavy? Because the child is growing on the inside of them. And it's the same way like Satan is growing on the inside of them, taking over their minds and taking over their lives and taking over their hearts and how they feel. You know, so it is. I agree. You know, to love you when you forgive others, learn to forgive yourself so you can love yourself all over again.
Wow, I gotta throw something out there. That's too deep for me. Facebook Nation, I hope y'all hearing this. That's deep for me. Look, I like that forgiveness, but let me ask you this question. So yeah, what does forgiveness look like? Okay, you kind of described it. But the question I want to ask, can we forgive others on our own strength? Can we forgive can we forgive others on our own strength? You know, because we can talk about forgiveness. See, forgiveness is a process. Everybody goes through trauma different than other people's. Some of with just some serious things in the childhood and grew up. And so when they look back, it's hard to forgive a person who molested you or whatever. It's hard to forgive. So forgiveness is a process. But I think we need to understand and let everybody know that forgiveness, you can't forgive on your own strength. It's impossible. Because keep in mind, Satan's also playing a role in this too now, because it's called triggers. Triggers. You get to the point you're healing, here comes a trigger. And a trigger is a flashback to your trauma. And Satan replays the tape. And he'll take you back mentally in your mind, your thoughts, and say, oh no, he did do that to me. We don't recognize it's Satan because it's the norm. So forgiveness is a process, but I'm going to throw it out here to just talk about that. Can we forgive on our own strength?
I would like to answer that. No, not at all. Because us as humans, us as our flesh, even though we walk with God, we still have a flesh that speaks loud sometimes. And our flesh speaks like, oh, they hurt me, and I want to get back at them. I want them to feel the pain that they made me feel. And so, us being Christians, though, we have to do things the godly way. We have to seek God for healing, for forgiving, and also to move past what somebody else has done. I know I had, from my past experience, if you don't know, I experienced domestic violence from my childhood to my adulthood. And there, like he said, there are triggers. There are so many triggers, and that could have me in bondage because, I can go out here and think that all men are the same. I can't allow them into my heart. But in order for me to move forward, I have to forgive and I have to rely on God. Like, God, take this feeling away from me. Because I know that you have something better for me. There is a bigger purpose. And so allow me to just move past that. Help me with this situation. Move myself out the way so that I can be who you need me to be and so I can get all that you need me to get. And so it's not on our strength alone. It's on God's. Not by his power, but by his might.
Wow.
You know what? Since you asked that question, that's interesting because what about the ones that someone killed their loved ones? Would it be easy for them to forgive that person? What about someone that lied on them and caused them to serve 10 to 20 years in prison, and they got raped in prison or beat in prison for something they didn't do, being innocent, serving time in prison? What about the ones that raped their baby or children or something like that, or beating their child or something like that? What about the ones that caused them to lose their homes or caused them to be homeless on the street? Can you really forgive that person? When they did something to you that you feel you can't get back, but you can. But see, that's the trick of the enemy. But see, is it easy? Like you said, it's strength. No, we can't. There's no possible way. Everything comes from the help of the Lord, and the Lord is our strength.
That's right.
The Lord is our strength. So there's no possible way. You know, because if we try to do something without him, we would fail, we won't make it, we will lose our mind. You know, we'll go around, hurting other people because we're angry. We take our anger out on other people and blame them. You know, it's also about this. What about the ones that watch their mothers prostitute all their her life, and they grew up with that, and they watch the men, different men come into their home, but the men end up, abusing them or end up killing their mother. So they get angry, they go out there and kill all the prostitutes, or they get up there and hurt all the women because of the hurt they felt in their past as a child. So the question is, how do you get people to see, the people that's in that situation like that? How do you get them to open up their eyes to see there is a way out? And they can be healed from that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's very deep. Not to answer the question or anything, but I think the problem, if I could call it a problem even, is like the Bible says sin is sin, right? You could lie, you could murder, and that's the same. But the truth is, it don't feel the same when it's against you, right? Like lying to me is different from hurting somebody that I love, right?
Yeah.
It hurts different too, right? So there are lies in a social aspect that we feel are forgivable. Oh, he said that to you? Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, he did that? Oh, no. We're not going back there, right? So there's different things. And part of the problem is maybe we look at forgiveness as just forgiving,
Wow.
right? So you wronged me, you ask for forgiveness, and I forgive you, and then that's over. That's very great for some sins. This is not from the Bible. The Bible doesn't say, oh, for this sins, forgive this way. No, I'm trying to mix a little bit of it with a little bit of psychology, right? So I think that forgiveness is not just the forgiving part. The forgiving part is a major part of the forgiveness process, right? So there's something we call love, LUV. Listen, understand, and validate.
There you go.
Right? Right. First of all, what made you do what you did?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Right? I try to understand. So you seek first to understand and to be understood.
Right.
Because most of the time, this is what I feel about what you did. Like this is, then people say, "Oh, this is where I was coming from." Now that is not license for them to justify, right? No matter your reasons for hurting me,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it right that you hurt me. Oh, I hurt you because I thought this. No, it's still wrong.
Right.
But understand the angle that they come from, right? And then you validate. You say it back to them. So you thought this was this, this was that. So you understood the situation, and then you give your input next. I think the problem with a lot of things that we speak more than we listen, but we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we have to listen more than we speak.
Yes.
Right?
You gotta come on with it.
Right. So we gotta. So the forgiveness process for me, like I told you, like that there was somebody that hurt me for a long time. We never had the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. But I always felt that they had to come to me because you hurt me. Why should I come to you, right? So. And that's why we had never had the conversation, because they probably also think that I have to go to them, or they don't care, right? So regardless of what the outcome is, we gotta confront that problem, not run from, not just forgive, because we're going to level 10 without going to level 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
So sometimes we don't just forgive,
Right.
we talk through things. That's why we go sometimes to therapy, like we talk about the problem, because the problem brews at so many levels in your head, in your heart.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, it gets me. So sometimes you gotta first talk it out, let them know what you're feeling, right? And then let them know why you're feeling that way.
Right.
Sometimes it might not even get that far, because ideally in a perfect world, you go to somebody that wronged you, you tell them, they will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
There are people who still will never say they're sorry, but you're doing this for you.
Right. Right.
Just because you didn't listen doesn't mean you did never heard.
Right.
So I said it,
Yeah.
you know. So some people fail to acknowledge what they heard, but they heard.
And also learning to move on even when you don't get an apology.
Yes.
Learning to heal even when the person who wronged you don't say, "I did you wrong," or "I'm sorry for what I did." Learning to move past it and just accepting it is what it is.
Yes.
And I will never get that apology. I will never get that "I'm sorry" that I need. So learning to heal internally so that you won't be in bondage or be trapped in that situation or hold resentment in that situation. So even if you never get a sorry, you have to learn, okay, I won't get that sorry, but I have to move past this. I have to forgive, and I have to forgive myself, and I have to keep going. Yeah.
I read something similar as well. Like this one lady, she struggled. I think she had been abused as a kid so much that they say she had different personalities throughout her childhood. So that's really different. And then they asked her how did she learn to forgive. She said the first step to forgiveness is letting go of the idea that things could have been different. Right, right. Without you, I could have gone this way. Yeah, and society tends to do that, right? Then you think of what this child would have been without this incident, right? So it feels like we even lost things we didn't have because so we magnify it because of what could have been, and sometimes I think the idea is to accept first. Right? Acceptance is the first step. Okay, this is it. This is what happened. Of course, we would have preferred it to be different, but this is what happened.
Wow.
They start at that level. I think acceptance is a very big thing there.
You know, I got to throw this in Nene. I'm going to throw it to everybody. I'm going to Nene first.
Okay.
Because we talked about this. All what we're saying, so here's the thing I want to ask. So, are we holding pain hostage? Or is pain holding us hostage? And if it is, what ransom are we what ransom is our pain asking for? Let me give an example. Let's say that a person robs a bank. He takes some hostages. And he said, I want a ransom from this hostage. I want a ransom. I'm not letting you go until you pay this ransom. So I want to know, are we holding pain hostage? Or is pain holding us hostage? And this pain is holding us hostage. What ransom does pain want? What do pain want from?
I think that we hold pain hostage because we have the authority, or should I say, God has the authority to remove the pain from us. But if we continue to allow that same thing that hurt us stay within us, then we're allowing it in, if that makes sense. Like we're allowing it to stay in our hearts instead of like moving on or changing our mindset as to what it could have been or what it should have been. And so we're robbing ourselves of our purpose, of our future. It's being absent of the current moment. So we're robbing ourselves of what it could be by always thinking about what it was. That's what I think.
Wow. And the reason I said that because